I found it interesting that more than 25% of all the inmates in federal prisons are illegal aliens.
Well, they're aliens. We suspect that a large percentage of them are illegal aliens, but they are 27% are foreign-born. That's correct, yes.
And also, Americans seem to be thinking that everyone that comes across our southern border is Mexican, but there's a lot of evidence that there's Syrians, Afghans, and other nationalities as well. Isn't that true?
Well, I've talked to people, and they've found Islamic prayer rugs left along the trails where they come in, things of this sort, indicating that it's not just Mexicans coming across the border. That's true. The number of non-Mexicans is increasing. I mean, they're coming from other parts of Latin America, even China.
Really makes you question if we have a real threat from terrorism, doesn't it?
Well, it seems like our government says that we have a danger here, yet they leave the door wide open for them to come in. They're tightening up things a little bit, but for most of the time after 9/11, the border has been pretty much open, and it just makes you wonder about the sincerity of our government telling us that we have a terrorist threat.
The footage that you showed in your documentary of the fence that they had built, it was built, looked like just perfectly for climbing. Do you advocate that that the fence is not the way to go, that we're going to have to put troops on the border, or what's your opinion on a fence on our southern border?
Well, I would like to have an effective fence on the border, but what we're building now isn't really that effective. You saw that sequence where the man jumped up to the top of the fence from the American side, didn't you?
Yeah.
If he could do that, then I'm sure somebody from the other side could do it just as easily. I mean, there's no barbed wire on the top, and there was just one fence going across, not double fence. Double fence was originally proposed, but that was cut out. The Department of Homeland Security is now telling us that they've completed about 350 miles of fence out of 700, but there's a man in Arizona named Glenn Spencer who is a pilot. He's flown over the border, and he said that since they passed that fence bill, they've really only built about 100 miles of fence, and a lot of it is that type of fence we've just described.
Yeah, the fence didn't look anything like what I would have expected it to look like. I thought it would look like, a fence at a prison or something like that.
Well, it should. I mean, we should have barbed wire on the top. It should be a good bit taller. But again, I think they want to tell us that they're doing something where, in fact, they're not really doing anything at all. They just want to lull us to sleep. I think a fence can be useful, but in conjunction with more surveillance on the border, more manpower on the border, but a fence by itself really is no good. I mean, they can just dig under it or put a ladder on it and go over it. I mean, you have to have manpower there to stop them.
Chairman of the Washington Legal Foundation, Daniel Popio, has reported at least 15 hospitals in the Los Angeles area alone have been driven closed because of being forced to care for illegal immigrants. This is a perfect example of how big this problem is. Could you comment on this? Is this common around the country?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, under the law, the hospitals have to treat anyone who comes, and illegal aliens are using our hospital as basically a free health care system. They go to the emergency rooms, they get taken care of, and then they don't pay the bills, and this is putting a terrible burden on hospitals around the country. And this is at a time when huge numbers of Americans cannot afford health insurance. I mean, we can't go to the hospital and get away with something like that, but they can and do.
Exactly.
It's just outrageous. I mean, the thing is, these businesses that want the illegal aliens say, well, they provide us cheap labor. Well, the thing is, we, the taxpayers, are subsidizing that cheap labor through these medical costs and education costs and other costs to the public treasury.
I've also heard reports, sir, that some of our border guards have been moved or transferred to the border with Iraq and Iran. Is that true?
That's right. I read that they have taken some of our Border Patrol officers and used them to train Iraqi border guards. I mean, I'm just speechless. I mean, what can you say about something like that?
The inmates have taken over the asylum.
Exactly. And the same people who remain have got to take the asylum back, I think.
Could you comment on the 2 border guards that were imprisoned? We've been covering that story. We've got several listeners that this has really got upset, and would just like to give you a moment to touch on that.
Well, you're referring to Ramos and Campion, I believe, and I've read about that case a great deal. It seems to me that there was an injustice there, and if nothing else, these men should have a pardon. They should be set free. Because their prosecution sends a message to the Border Patrol that you better not be too diligent about enforcing the law, lest something like that happen to you. One of them, I read, was beaten up in prison. They've had a pretty hard time since they've been sent there.
Yeah, we had reported on that. He had been beaten up pretty severely in prison, and it's a travesty. There's been a lot of congressmen that has asked President Bush to pardon these 2, and of course he refuses. And what incentive does this give to any of our Border Patrol to actually do their job?
Well, the thing is, the man they shot was a drug runner. I mean, he was not a very savory type of person. Our government allowed him to come back into the country and testify against these men, and I mean, what can you say? I mean,
gave him immunity to testify against 2 Americans, and gave one 11 years and the other one 12 years in prison. Just blows my mind.
Well, the thing is, from what I know, murderers quite often don't serve that long, even though they supposedly have life sentences.
Yeah, and these 2 had clean records. It wasn't like they were career criminals. I mean, it's the epitome of a travesty and an injustice, and the American people ought to be up in arms, marching on Washington, demanding that they be released.
Well, the thing is, I think they should be pardoned. I mean, that should just happen tomorrow, but Bush doesn't want to do that, which maybe shows how really sincere he is about wanting to control the border.
Yeah. His 8 years in as president has shown how sincere he is on wanting to control the border. Something you touched on, we've got some statistics that as much as $200 billion a year is suppressed American wages caused by the illegal alien problem. Could you comment on that?
Well, there are different figures floating around. There's an economist, George Borjas, at Harvard University, and he says that for every 10% increase in the immigrant population, legal and illegal, wages for our unskilled people go down about, maybe it's not unskilled, maybe it's just wages in general go down about 3 to 4%. I think for unskilled people they go down even more. Again, it's a matter of businesses being subsidized by the American people through taxes and through lower wages. I mean, some people are benefiting from this in America. There's no doubt about that, but I don't think it's helping the country as a whole.
I'm curious, where do you see this heading in the coming years? Do you think the government, federal or state, will step up and get serious on this problem, or did we take it away from the Indians to give it to the Mexicans?
Well, I see more progress coming at the state and local level. As for the federal government, we've got some problems coming up. Both McCain and Obama are totally committed to amnesty. In fact, in a few days they will be speaking at, or maybe it's even tomorrow, I'm not sure. Very soon they're going to be speaking before the National Council of the Raza. Raza means the race in Spanish. It's a Latino supremacist group. Basically, they want to keep the borders open so they can build up their ethnic clout. Both of these presidential candidates are addressing this organization and trying to gain their favor. I mean, so this doesn't bode well for reform in the future. And also, it appears that a lot of Democrats are going to be elected to Congress this November, and the Democrats tend to be in favor of open borders. So we're going to have a real struggle on our hands there. But the thing is, we are facing recession in this country, and I think given that, if powers that be try to push more amnesties or ignore the people's concerns, they're going to face some real uproar.